We're going to start out by talking about how to avoid burnout. And the first thing I want to show you is this graph of first-year teachers. And I know not everybody in on this course right now is a first-year teacher, but I think that this graph is really indicative of every teacher, whether they are brand new to teaching or a veteran teacher. We all go through these stages every single year of the excitement, anticipation at the beginning of the year, survival mode, disillusionment where we don't even know which end is up, to finally getting a little bit rejuvenated after the testing season has died down and we've had a couple breaks, and then of course into the reflection time over summer, and then back into being excited about a new school year. I want to make sure that you know that these are all normal feelings as a teacher, so that you can be intentional about when you start to feel these feelings, about working in time for yourself so that you can still stay excited and motivated about your job. A few different ways that you can avoid burnout. Make sure that you are not staying at school every single day until 5 or 6 o'clock. You need to have days that you leave on time. So in my school, the time that you could leave was 3:40. That was when our contract ended, from 7:10 to 3:40. And there were many days where I left right at 3:40, right at 4. But there were also days that I stayed late when I knew things were coming up, and I would stay till 5 or 6. But I would only do that every once in a while. So I would encourage you to choose days, depending on if you're an early bird or you're a night owl. What days are you going to come in 30 minutes, an hour early? What days are you going to stay late? And then set timers for each day of the week to keep you on track so that you are leaving on time and you're not staying and overworking yourself every single day. Another thing I love to share is to theme your days. So schedule time after school and during your conference period. Pick a theme for what you're going to be doing during that time. So you can see here is my theme for all of my days. On Mondays, during my conference period, I was getting anything prepped for the upcoming week that I didn't get to finish last week. On Tuesdays during my conference period, I was in PLC days. You can also see Tuesdays were my days to stay late. So those were the days I would stay till 5 or 6 o'clock. But the rest of the days, I was leaving around 3:40 or 4. Wednesday was always my lesson planning days, as well as Thursday if I didn't get done with it. And then Friday was the day I was preparing all my materials for the upcoming week. So I didn't have to stress about when was I going to lesson plan, when was I going to find time to do this, because I already knew when those things were happening. It also helps you mentally prepare for the things you don't like to do. For example, grading. That is something that you can work into your schedule, and you know when you're going to do it, so you can kind of dread it and know that it's coming, but then know that it's going to be done as soon as, for example, Monday afternoons were open. So that could be my time to grade. And I know that once after Monday afternoon is done, I'm done grading for the week. I don't have to think about it again. Number 3, use your personal days. I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second because I'm really passionate about teachers being intentional about taking time off for themselves. This doesn't mean you're taking off every single week, but find out how many personal days you have and then figure out how you're going to use them. Are you going to use them once every grading period, once every semester? What's going to be your criteria for taking time off? And real quick, I'll share a story about my last year of teaching. When we found out that we were moving to Germany, I went to go look at how many days I had left over, and I think I had around 26 days left that I had accumulated from my first year of teaching, when they were saying, don't take off because if you have a baby, or if your kid gets sick, or if you have an accident or something happens and you need these days, you want to make sure that you have them. And yes, that is so important. But I got to the point where I didn't even take days off for fun. And so I left teaching with over 20 days that I lost. I didn't get paid out for them. I didn't get to use them because it was so late in the school year. So use your personal days. It's so worth it. My last year of teaching, I finally got to the point where I felt comfortable using my personal days. And this picture here, you can see a cup of coffee, a hat, a book, and the beach. My husband and I went for I think I took off 3 days, and this was the only time I ever did something like this in my teaching career, but it was so good for me to just take some time away and go enjoy time with my husband, enjoy time reading. I think I read like 3 books on that trip. So use your personal days. Number 4, map out your days. Now, I know we talked about theming your days a minute ago, but this is a little bit more general over basically calendaring out your days. So what you have coming up both professionally and personally, and making a plan so that you are spending an adequate amount of time at school that is needed. If it's a heavy work week, that you're spending that time there. There's going to be weeks where you're going to have to stay every day till 5 or 6 o'clock because of whatever is going on. But then you need to make sure that you're either that week or that weekend or the following week taking a lot of time for yourself. So just be intentional. I think one problem that teachers get into is they don't have a plan going into the school year of what they're going to do when things get crazy, or they don't have a plan of when they're going to take time off. So they just keep working, getting done what needs to get done. And that's where the burnout comes in. So please, once you get done with this module and you're thinking through what things you want to prioritize for this year, I really hope that including time for yourself will be in there, whether it's once a week, once a month. And I'm not saying taking off a day once a week, even if it's just an hour once a week where you're doing something for you, but map that out and put that in your calendar so that you know that it's coming and you have something to look forward to, and so that you have that time to rejuvenate yourself. And the last thing I want to talk about is just positive influences and being sure that you are staying away from the negative Nancys. There's going to be those teachers at every school that all they want to do is complain. There's nothing wrong with complaining as long as you have a solution to provide. So stay away from the teachers who just want to complain. Make sure that you find teachers that you do feel comfortable venting and sharing your stress with, but also not airing your dirty laundry with everybody, and keeping positive influences. Find those teachers at your school that are motivated and excited and want to share their ideas with you, and latch onto those people because they are going to be what's going to take you to the next level in your teaching career. And also don't forget about online influencers. If you're following someone who stresses you out or makes you feel like you're not doing a good enough job, not because of anything they're doing, but even if it's a problem in your own heart of looking at these teachers doing all these great things and it makes you feel less of a good teacher, stop following them. Even if it's just for a little while, that's okay, because those negative feelings are going to lead to that burnout, and that's what we don't want. Don't forget, it's okay to say no. If you get asked to be on another committee, if you get asked to head something up, to be a club leader, it's okay to say no if it doesn't fit in with your priorities, with your goals, with your schedule. And to any new teachers that are listening to this, or single teachers or teachers without kids, I really want you to practice saying no this summer so that when those opportunities arise for people to ask you to do stuff, because they do, I think, take advantage or think that the teachers who don't have kids or a family at home, or the traditional family at home, that they have the time to take on all these extra tasks, and you don't have to. It's okay to say no. And lastly, let's talk about working on a holiday break. So I'm not against it because I did it a lot, but it is a quick way to burn out. So I want you to make sure that if you are working on holiday breaks, you're doing it in moderation, that you're setting boundaries for yourself, how many days you're going to go up over the break, how long you're going to go up during that time. Have a plan for what you're going to do. We're going to talk here in a little bit about making to-do lists. So make a to-do list for your holiday work time and stick to it. Also, with working on the weekends, especially your first year of teaching, you're going to have to work harder and longer than you will 2 or 3 years from now. So if you are going to go up on the weekends, limit it to 1 weekend a month, or 6 hours a weekend or something like that, to where you're not spending all your time there, because again, you have so much excitement as a new teacher that you just want to go and work and do all this stuff because it's exciting and it brings you joy, and that's great. But that hardworking, overworking routine is what's going to lead to burnout. So make sure that you have a plan in place. And one thing I want to encourage you is to think when you're trying to decide if you're going to go up on a holiday or you're going to go up on the weekend, are you doing it out of joy because it's something you really want to do? Or is it more out of guilt or shame? Is this something I feel like I need to do because if not, I'm not a good teacher, or I'm behind all the other teachers because they've been teaching for 5 years and they have all their materials ready for the upcoming week and I don't, therefore I need to go because otherwise I'm not a good teacher. Question if you're doing it out of joy or out of guilt. And if it's out of guilt, it's okay to stay home. It's okay to take time for yourself. I just want you to remember that when the year gets going. All right, I will see you in the next lesson.